Health Canada just released new front of label food packaging. So anything high in saturated fat, like the Crave bowl I have, this is not affiliated, or high in sodium or sugar is going to have that. What do you guys think? I feel like it's a little controversial because I know when I pulled it out of my freezer, I was like, I don't feel too good about eating this with this food label, which I guess it's doing what it should, or what it's intended, but I don't know if like using shame is the right approach to changing dietary behavior. Yeah, but with that being said, like, it's a tool, so it's just going to require a little bit of like rewiring our brain when we see it, that it's not labeled as bad. It's just high in this nutrient and we need to use it as such. This is for all the folks out there who want to be lowering their cholesterol or their blood pressure. This is not medical advice. So the new food labels were like just announced, and I'm actually surprised they're already being implemented. They have chosen saturated fat, sodium, and sugar because those are the main ones that lead to dietary related conditions. So it does make sense that they're choosing those. Something that they missed was what their cutoffs are for what is considered high. But based on like their food reading recommendations, anything that is 15% of your daily value per serving or more is considered high or a lot, and anything that's 5% of your daily value is considered a little. So I am assuming they're going to be using that same cutoff. So 15% or more will be getting the label on the front of the package. Another shocking thing that they announced is that 1/3 of foods in the store have added sugar, like 1/3. It's a lot. Like, it's really revealing. So these new front of food labels is gonna kind of force these food companies to be more transparent about their ingredients. Foods that aren't getting this label are the obvious ones. So like salt isn't going to have a high sodium salt package label, and also they chose to not do certain like milk, so like milk products also won't be getting this. Cheese won't. I'm not sure about cream. It just says certain dairy products. And their rationale is the calcium in it helps prevent osteoporosis, so they're not getting the label. Another one is raw whole cuts of meat and raw single ingredient ground meats. And then of the obvious like fruits and veggies aren't going to be getting it either. But some that surprised me that won't be getting this food label are celery salt. Like, literally, I like didn't even realize celery salt is mainly made of sodium. So it's high in sodium. It's not going to be getting that label. I'm sure like other salt seasonings won't be getting it either. And then another one that surprised me is butter, mainly because I don't think a lot of people like really know like what saturated fat is. It's just this like scary like nutrient. But yeah, butter is a saturated fat, so it's not going to be getting the label either. Same with honey, maple syrup as well, which those ones don't surprise me as much. So first we're gonna talk about lowering high cholesterol and the nutrient to look out for, like the one you just want to be like zoned in on, and that one is saturated fat. So saturated fat is any fat that comes from an animal product. Mainly the animal products are what bring up our intake quite a bit. So what you want to be looking out for is high fat dairy. So choosing low fat dairy can make a big impact, and then choosing lean cuts of meat. So meats that don't have skin on it or come from like the whites of the bird, like chicken breast instead of like drumsticks, that kind of thing. That's like a really big stone to move. And then looking out for the new food label. So like, I guess you wouldn't want to choose this one. But yeah, this one says high in saturated fat. And then seeing if you can find an alternative that doesn't have the label, or because this is relatively new, doesn't, or has 15% or less of your daily intake. And over time, it takes around 6 months for it to like really come down. It should come down if you can really lower your saturated fat intake. So it's a bit empowering to have that transparency on the front of the label. If you have high blood pressure, then we're gonna be focusing on the sodium part of your diet. Salt is sodium chloride, that is table salt. Any like salt in the diet is what we want to be reducing. And everyone knows what salt is, but not everybody knows what salt does. And I don't know if you remember, like in grade 9, learning about osmosis, and there's there's a diagram where there's one pitcher of water and then another pitcher of water, and then there was like a porous like mesh in between, and they added salt to one and not the other, and like the water moved to the other one, so like the water ended up looking like this. I'm gonna find a photo and superimpose it. So salt draws water to itself, and if you think of our blood vessels, it does the exact same thing in there. So when you eat a high salt meal or your diet is high in sodium, the salt is in your blood vessels and it draws fluid into that tube, which then increases the volume inside of it and puts pressure on the outside. And then that's when we get the reading of high blood pressure when you use the cuff. So to lower blood pressure, like the best thing you can do for yourself is like reducing your salt intake. It's mainly gonna be packaged foods that are the biggie. So this one actually is can be really helpful. So looking for that same label, but avoiding the ones that are high in sodium, and making that like your focus. It's gonna be the biggest thing for your buck. Like I mentioned, because this is a new label system, looking at the back for 15% or less. Now, if you have both high blood pressure and cholesterol, then we're gonna be looking for both of those too, to lower it. And you know, this might be just a really good step in the right direction. It can feel overwhelming to make a lot of changes all at once, but just finding different options that don't have that label where you can is a step in the right direction. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you get notified of new videos. I hope that this was helpful for you, and bye for now.